All right. Well, welcome to the Hear Me Out podcast. My name's Ian,
I'm Caitlyn.
if you guys didn't know that already. Today's
We're
episode,
like household names at this point.
yeah,
I don't know what
yeah.
you're talking about.
You say Caitlyn to your mother, then they obviously know that they're talking about Caitlyn from the Hear Me Out podcast. And same with Ian, right?
Sorry, I had to process.
Talking in perspective of our viewer.
I had to process you said Caitlyn to your mother.
Like Fred says Caitlyn, they're like, oh, Caitlyn from the Hear Me Out podcast. Or Ian. Oh, Ian from the Hear Me Out podcast.
Yeah, don't
The
even
one with 45 subscribers.
Yeah, don't even need last names at this point.
Nah.
It's like Zendaya.
Right. Exactly.
Ian.
Oh, man. So we actually already pre-recorded this podcast. Not pre-recorded. We just finished the podcast without an
before
intro.
we introed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We started filming a podcast and we got deep into this conversation, which we're just going to make another podcast. So this is like the intro of it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about how we got our jobs here at the Savannah Bananas and kind of how our life led up to this in a way of like education and like kind of getting lucky in a sense sometimes, and also like what we knew when we got here, what we didn't know when we got here.
A little bit of advice, which let us know if it's helpful, because every now and again I start on a tangent and sometimes I start talking. I don't really know where it's going, but
Same with me. Like,
yeah.
Let us know if we're just ranting or if this stuff's helpful.
Or if if you actually want to hear more of this, because then we can this was something that we stumbled into, but if you guys actually want to hear more solid advice or tips and tricks of the trade, which I'm not incredibly qualified for, but just like what our lives look like working with the bananas in the sports industry, specifically in video and media, let us know, because we are more than happy to talk about it. It is 95-ish% of our lives.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Our life kind of revolves around work in a sense. Like if we have a couple days off, we get to kind of step back from it for a second. But for the most part, our life revolves around our work. And we kind of talk about how like if you like that kind of lifestyle, then it's a great job for you. And like our tips and tricks of like advice in getting into the industry, and also maybe advice if it's not the right industry for you.
Yeah, that's the part I'm worried about. So let me know if that advice.
She's worried for no reason. You guys will enjoy it. If you enjoy it, drop some comments. If you guys really like this episode, maybe we'll do a part 2 answering questions and stuff like that. So feel free to drop comments and questions and stuff in the comment section.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get right into it.
So I'll do like a cute little like a snap, then it'll go into the.
It's gonna be an abrupt start after we snap.
Potatoes.
So I'll start. I originally got into video stuff working at a youth group that I went to back growing up. It's a youth group that I went to for a long time, and then I ended up working there for about a year and a half or so. But the youth group leader, Spencer Brocker, I worked super heavily with him. He did a bunch of media stuff in our hometown, working on like real estate videos and wedding videos and kind of like event recap videos and stuff like that. So I'd always go as like a second shooter, which I really enjoyed, and I kind of got all my like video skills doing that. So I shot a bunch of real estate videos and stuff with him, recap stuff. Kind of my mentor growing up when it come to video stuff and just kind of life stuff in general. But then I worked for a marketing agency a little bit. Completely just like made a podcast with this marketing agency. They're a bunch of hunters out of my hometown. They're like, we want to make a podcast. And I was like, all right. And then they just hired me to do it. So we just once a week just make this podcast, and then I'd spend like 6 hours during the week cutting it and just send the final version. Which now, man, if I had that job and I was getting paid what I did just to like throw it in our AI software, which they probably don't even know about yet, and I'll never tell them. But it's like, man, I could have made bank and I wouldn't have had to do any work. Anyway, worked for that marketing agency for about a year, while also working at a summer camp doing video. I was just one of the videographers, the only videographer at the summer camp, which I loved. Great summer camp. Did that for 3 months while making the podcast with the marketing agency. Then August rolled around. I stopped working at both and started working. That's whenever I was starting school, like college. I had one more semester of college, so I just jumped right back into that. And kind of just worked on the side doing freelance stuff. And then that following summer, I didn't really have anything to do. And my uncle called me up and he's like, hey, he has a finance firm down in Charlotte. He's like, if you want to come intern with me for the summer, you're more than welcome to come down. And I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like, what else am I going to do? Might as well. So I went down there for 4 months. worked with his marketing agency and made him a big documentary about his company. He had like a 10-year anniversary, and he threw this really big party for his 10-year anniversary And so we premiered this like 15-minute documentary about his company at this party with a couple hundred people at it, which was super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was the first time like I realized finance was not what I wanted to do. And that's exactly what I thought I was going to do coming out of school. I was like, I'm going to just go into finance because it pays the bills.
Are you a numbers guy?
I like math, but not enough to go into it full time. Like I would be miserable sitting behind a desk every day running numbers.
Yeah.
Realized definitely didn't want to do that. And video stuff was definitely the way I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. So leaving there, he told me about the Bananas. He's like, check out this baseball team. Great organization. Like, they're just taking off. They're like been in the industry for a while, but they're really taking off. You should check them out. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right. Didn't think anything about it. Moved back up north. Started my own little video production business, working with financial advisors, which I liked better than being a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Videos were boring to make, kind of, but they paid the bills really well. I enjoyed the people I worked with, and I was just like, yeah. So I lived at home with my parents, and I just did this for a couple months. And then when my uncle told me about it, I signed up for the internship notification on the website. Forgot about it for 3 months, and then got the email one day, and I was like, like this is interesting. And I was always Googling like jobs, just like surfing the internet, just in case something ever came up. So I tossed in an application, not thinking anything of it. Didn't even tell my parents about it. And I got to the first round. I'm like, oh, got an interview. Like, this is crazy. Told my parents. They're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, didn't think anything of it. Got through the first interview process and got to the second round of interviews. And this is like, at this point, August. And at this point, I'm like, oh, this like potentially could be something I end up like actually getting.
Yeah.
But I knew there was 4 rounds of interviews and long way away. And I kept telling my parents about it. I was like, this might be something that comes up. And they're like, yeah, cool. Like, this is great. Not really thinking I'd actually get it. And then I got to the third round, which is when I interviewed with Yvonne and Burrow. And I got off that call feeling great. Like, we had a great conversation. I had a call with Savannah and Kara as well. That conversation went great. So after those 2 calls, I was like, this might happen. And then I actually had a serious conversation with my parents. I was like, if this happens, like, what do I do? Like, would you guys care if I went down there? And it took a lot of convincing at first, because like moving halfway across the country in a place I had nobody, to take a job with a baseball team that's not even like a professional baseball team. No one knows. I mean, a couple people know of them at this point, but where I'm from, but not that big. And then I got the job offer in December, and I was like, that's when I really had to sit down conversation with my parents. Like, I got it. Like, I kind of have to take it, because I was like, I'll do the 6-month internship. I'll come back up. I have to get the experience at this point. Like, I'm out of college. Like, I have freelance work, but I don't have like a full-time job. So I need to take like this job, and I'll keep my freelance stuff. And I did that. So finally took the job. I moved down here in January, and loved it. I don't think I fully thought I would move here full time until June, though. The whole time I was like, I'm going to move back up north. Like, that's what I have to do.
I kind of felt like I was going to move back up to my parents because I didn't know what I was doing. Right. Different reasons. But I wasn't. I was like, the experience will
be amazing. I'll learn video stuff, more video stuff, and then I'll just bounce back up and maybe work for a baseball team up there.
Yeah.
Or like the Pirates if they had job openings or something like that. Mm-hmm. But then June rolled around and they offered me the extension on my internship for another 3 months. And I was like, well, yeah, like I'm not leaving now. We're halfway through tour. I can't leave halfway through tour. I feel like I missed out so much.
That would have been so weird.
It would have been tough.
I don't think once I thought about you leaving.
I didn't either at that point.
Because at that point, it felt like you were just here to stay.
I knew I would never dip during the tour.
Yeah.
Because like going halfway through the tour and not seeing the rest of the cities and stuff like that, which just wouldn't have made sense. And it kind of would have put you guys in a crappy position to be like,
so sad for us. Yeah.
You guys got to work all the.
By the way.
Like, sorry, I'm dipping.
I'm just going to scooch.
I remember that conversation. We sat down and they're like, so we'd love to have you on if you're interested. Mm-hmm. And then that moment I was like, well, I could say no right now. And that would probably screw up some of your guys' plans. I was like, no, of course. Like, I'll take it. But then I got the extension in June. Finished off the 2023 World Tour. And then in Durham of the tour, So I guess before the tour ended is whenever they offered me the full-time job as the coordinator. We have the same title, do we? I'm video production coordinator.
I'm still creative coordinator,
Okay.
which is like an old title. Like
Yeah.
when I originally was in that transition period between internship and an actual like member of just the video team.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a mix between like my original description was like a mix between entertainment, broadcast, and video.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just stuck with me
Yeah.
because I'm not anymore. But
Fair.
like a lot of people
Yeah.
around here kind of like have the coordinator.
When I started, you did a bunch of broadcast. Well, I mean, throughout the whole tour last year, you kind of did stuff
I
with
miss
broadcast.
it. It was
but
so fun. But it's
I'm
hard
sure you'll get back in at some
because,
point.
yeah, it's just hard because like we do need everyone behind their
Yeah.
cameras like ready to film stuff. And like those things always overlap.
Yeah.
And even when I did do it last year, it was just like, okay, someone has to take my spot because I'm not there behind my camera.
Right.
Because usually those like things, they're almost like swings. Like you don't really know if broadcast misses a beat, or I miss a beat because I'm doing something else. It gets pushed back to the next promotion or like whenever
Right.
stuff isn't happening on the field, and it gets
Right.
tricky.
Yeah. But then they offered me the job in Durham, the full-time job, and I accepted on the spot pretty much. They told me it was coming, and they offered me the job. And 2 weeks before that, I had been up in Pennsylvania visiting my family. I was up there for a week. And Yvonne had hinted that the job was going to be offered to me if I wanted it. And like, not that I knew a job offer was coming, but it was like, this is probably a possibility that's coming very soon. And I was getting the hints that it was coming soon. And I was like, I got to have this conversation. And I always told my mom, like every phone call I had with her whenever I moved away was like, if I'm moving down here full time, she kept calling me and be like, you're not moving home. You're not moving home. And I'm like, yeah, I'm moving home. And she's like, do you have news to tell me? I'm like, no, if I have news, I'll tell you in person.
Yeah.
Like I won't tell you over the phone that I'm not coming home. Like that's a crappy way to do it. But when I was up there right before Durham, I was like, they're like, so like, how are you gonna get all your stuff back home? And I was like, well, let's chat and like figure this out now. And then we just had like a hour just debrief of what the job was like and like how I'm liking it down here. And I was like, and they're gonna offer me full time probably, and I gotta figure out what to do. And then I just like decided then and there that like I pretty much knew that I was gonna take it, but I wanted not their approval, but their like support in it.
Yeah.
Which I got fully after our conversation. From a parent's perspective, like obviously they don't want their kid moving away, but
Yeah.
especially that far. But accepted the job, and that was 5 months ago at this point, and I've been.
It feels like so much longer.
It does.
It feels like way longer than that.
Yeah, I think it's 5 months.
That's kind of crazy.
I'll check my LinkedIn. Accepted in August.
You update your LinkedIn?
6 months ago.
I should do that.
Are you still intern?
Maybe.
No, you're not.
I don't
You're
even
definitely
know.
not.
No, check it. Type in my name over there.
Caitlyn Scott, creative coordinator.
Is that what this says?
Mm-hmm.
No way. When did that change?
1 year and 1 month ago.
I don't remember doing that.
Which makes sense because you got full time the month before I came.
Yeah.
I've been here a year and a month now.
I was an intern a little bit longer than you.
You were an intern for a year.
I was indeed.
February to January.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. But deserved. I didn't have any. I needed that.
Fair.
As someone.
It was learning.
It was, yeah.
Let's get into yours.
I'm
You didn't
still
know
learning.
anything whenever you got here,
No.
which is wild.
So.
And also like, it's kind of like if you have it, did you want to be in video stuff?
I knew to some extent that whatever I ended up doing, I needed to be creative. And like my whole life. So when I originally applied to college, I applied to AMDA, which used to be rated terribly, and I think they're okay now. But it's like a performing arts school in New York. And I went, and in California. Depends if you want to do like theater or film. And I wanted to do film. And so I had like throughout high school, I had done film stuff with my schools. We had a broadcasting film program, which like wasn't the best, but the equipment was there and like the people who wanted to be there were there. So like we went to, that was the first time I ever went to Universal Studios. We went down to Orlando and we did like a film competition. So I got to act in some of those things, but did I hold a camera? No. I got to write scripts, but I never actually got to like hold equipment, figure out how that kind of stuff worked. So anyway, that was like the extent of all of my broadcast camera experience ever in my life. and then applied to AMDA, got a scholarship, and I was like, oh, I could really do this. Like I could go to like out to California. And I was really excited for it, but even with the scholarship, it was so expensive. So I ended up going to a college in North Georgia, UNG, which is where Bill and Kyle went.
Yeah.
We actually think we overlapped.
Really? And had no idea?
Had no idea.
I mean, you wouldn't have known who they were, I guess, at that point.
No. And they looked way different then than they do now.
Yeah.
So would I have recognized them? Probably not.
I always forget they were roommates in college.
Me too. Me
Wild to
too.
me.
But I went there and I was like, I'll just take core classes here because I wanted to go, at that point, I was like, I want to go to a big public university. And UNG is not that.
Yeah.
And so on the deadline of UGA's like transfer portal, whatever, like applications, I applied, wrote out my whole essay, put in all my new college grades, all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, well, if I get in, whatever. And then I got in, went to Athens. And then throughout school, I was like, I changed my major like 7 times.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a theater major for a bit, but their theater program isn't really like, it's not what you would get from a performing arts school.
Right.
It's good, but it's like more technical.
Sure.
So I was just like, maybe I don't want to do that. Took dance classes when I was there, took a writing class that I really liked, and then that started breaking into writing and like we take out our phones and film stuff. And so the whole portfolio that I gave here when I applied for the job is just like these random things that I made literally my senior year of high school, which at that point was like 4 years prior.
Yeah.
And a few things that I made in one of my theater classes that was just kind of like, we filmed it on a phone. Yeah, we used a green screen. We kind of keyed some stuff out. It wasn't the best thing ever.
Sure.
One of the things I did was a gummy bear stop motion that I submitted.
Nice.
Where it was a
Just
horror
took a bunch
movie.
of pictures.
It was a horror movie, and I stabbed them all with little toothpicks, and
Nice.
I used red food coloring, and it was interesting.
Yeah.
But my major wasn't anything to do with film. It was literally, I did UX design. So it's like user-based design. I took journalism, and I took a lot of classes on like nonprofits and stuff. And they get paid incredibly well, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do.
Right.
It was just like, it allowed me to almost like make my own major being in this major.
Yeah.
So I got to like still take a bunch of really cool writing classes, and Grady's a great school. And I got to kind of like still be in that creative sort of world.
Right.
It just wasn't like theater behind a camera. It was more like, this is real life. Like this is something that could become like a huge career or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, graduated with that. And then I remember my last semester or semester before my last semester of college, I was in class with this girl who was like, oh yeah, I always go see sports games, and like I always like go and see the Bananas when I can. And like somehow her family got tickets multiple times to these games,
yeah.
which is like very interesting now.
Definitely easier back then, but
knowing
crazy.
how hard it is. Yeah. But anyway, she was like, you should check out their TikTok. I think you'd really like it. I did. And then I went on their site. Intern applications were like closed. But I put a joke. I don't remember what joke I put in, but I wrote a joke in like some sort of like leave a comment section. I don't know, somewhere on the website. And Marie saw it, and she messaged me, and she's like, hey, we have like summer applications, I think.
Really? Marie reached out to you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
If I remember right, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was actually taking a ton of those really strenuous, like full semester classes crammed into 4 weeks that summer. I touched the cord again. It's just right there. And I was like, there's no shot that I have time for all of this.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, hey, Marie, like maybe not this time, but I do definitely want to hear about opportunities for next time, whatever. And then when I graduated, like I think a summer passed, I was working, I was doing QuickBooks for my dad, which is just not for me.
Yeah.
It's awful,
Yeah.
actually.
Sounds.
Because he owns his own like welding business. So I was like doing all his stuff for him, and I didn't know if I was doing the rules right, or like I was just like, I hope this is okay and he doesn't get like in trouble with the IRS.
Government comes and arrests your father because he did his books wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, for one man, he's got a lot of credit cards.
I believe that for a company. Yeah.
Absolutely. So anyway, and he does not hang on to receipts. So I was just like, this is
tough.
a nightmare. I felt like an investigator. I was going through stuff, and I was just like, okay, so these 3 letters could be this. And I was like, where was he at this point? What was he buying? Was it for a project?
Tracking your dad down,
Yeah, literally. But anyway, she ended up messaging me again. She was like, hey, like we don't have internships, but we have full-time jobs. And she had remembered that I said something about like I want to be in something creative. They had the 2 video positions that Zach and Yvonne ended up getting.
Oh, wow.
So when I started my interview process, I was interviewing for a full-time job completely. And I had seen like the TikToks and stuff, but nothing looked like it was super like professional. Like, I didn't think it was like these really fancy Sony cameras or whatever. I was like, it looks like it was from a phone. And at the time, the TikTok looked different. Yeah. And so it kind of was.
And honestly, at that time, it was Kara. Like, I think we did have one videographer who wasn't like that serious. Yeah. Or maybe it was. I have no idea.
But when you looked at, you know, everything, like the whole video production team didn't exist yet.
Yeah, right.
And so like the quality was just like night and day from what we are like able to do now, which is amazing. And I interviewed with her and Tucker mostly. I think I talked to Kara one time, and Zach and Yvonne weren't there. So
that's right. Yeah.
I did not.
That's wild.
I did not talk to them. They got hired a week before me, or they were there a month before me.
So they hired all three of you around the same time.
Yeah.
But they were here before you.
They literally.
I don't know if I realized
that.
They
plopped them down, and they're like, "Here's an intern."
Kind of what they did with Sam.
And that was me. But anyway, I interviewed for a long time, and eventually Marie was like, we like you a lot, but you don't have as much experience as these other two guys that we've been looking at. And I was like, Marie, more than fair. I gave you a stop motion. She was like, we can give you an internship. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Took it. And then got here, did the tryout stuff with Zach and Yvonne. Yvonne showed me he was like, do you know how to operate this? And I was like, no. Camera, like Sony camera. Had I held a camera? Sure. But it was always like a digital, like settings are set for you, all that kind of stuff. So like, and I had my really gross Canon, that just terrible quality. And like everything that I did, it truly didn't matter what you set the settings to. The footage looked the same.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just an old camera.
On the Canon one. Yeah. The old cameras are tough.
Yeah. But anyway, every single piece of footage I filmed during tryouts, this was the big one. Like we had never done that before. It was a big thing. Everything was so completely overexposed. We didn't use any of it. Rude awakening for Zach and Yvonne and myself coming in with, they didn't know what to do with me. Yeah. Because I was just like, I don't think we're ever in that position to like teach somebody else with that little
Imagine getting plopped into a job and then a week later you have to teach somebody who's never touched a camera how to touch a camera.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I had never like, I don't think I ever tried to like lie in my interviews or anything like that. I was honest of like what I had done. Like I held cameras, but they were like digital. They weren't like the kind where it's just like,
right.
Yeah. So unintentionally I came in and they thought that I had more experience than I did. And then at that point on, I was just like, every single day I was just fearful for my life. I was just like, am I going to last here? I don't know. But I just like, I like to learn. I've always liked to learn. And I wanted to like really prove myself. And so I worked really, really hard to get to the point where I am now. And I'm still learning.
No, I mean, if you would have told me, like, even whenever I got here, if you would have told me you didn't know anything a year ago, when like you didn't even know how to turn the like ISO up on a camera, I would have been like, there's no shot.
Yeah. But can't beat on the job learning. Truly.
No, you can't.
You really can't.
Yeah. It's the best way to learn.
Yeah. There's like a lot of technical things that I still want to get better at. And like balancing Ronins, like I can do it, but I'm slow. Like there's a lot of things that I just want to perfect. And like one of my goals this year is to just understand all those technical aspects and like understanding the names of parts. And so when people ask me for a certain kind of cord, I can be like, yes, it's this one.
Yeah, right.
But for the most part, happy with the progress that I made. I was an intern for a full year. They extended my internship out, like they extended yours. And then I went they didn't have a position for me yet. I don't think any of us realized how much we would be growing. Yeah. And so they made a position for me between broadcast entertainment and video because I used to do a lot of broadcast stuff. Yeah. And it was amazing. It's so fun because I've always liked being on the other side of the camera. Right. Being behind the camera is huge difference. Sure. Like huge. So I did like this trial period between, I want to say it was between like October and December. Or September and December, something like that. And then January, they brought me down into the coach's office. Really? And yeah, I did not know. I never knew what was coming for me.
Did you think they were firing you?
There were so many times where I messed up and I was just like, this is the end for Caitlyn. Yeah. Like I'm going to go home and pack my bags. Right. And like in any other job, because I've had so many, I probably would have been like, if I wasn't so invested in it, I'd be like, I think I'm going to gracefully bow out before they do anything to me.
Just would have bailed. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like jobs in the past that I had, they were never like to this level. Right. I've always had, it was like, I mean, I worked at a bank, but there's only so much. Actually, when I worked at a bank, the reason why I left was because my grandma was like, we weren't sure where her health was at the time. And so we were just like, we want to go home to Missouri for like one last Christmas with her.
Yeah.
And I talked to my supervisor and she was like, no, I didn't see my brother right before he died because I chose work over him. And I was like, that is ridiculous. So,
she wasn't going to let you off?
Yeah.
That was her answer? I didn't see my brother? That's awful.
I thought so too.
I would have dipped right then and there as well.
Did
you just dip right there or did you go home and then decide?
I worked out I did the rest of the day because it was almost over. I thought that was ridiculous. And
That's
then
insane.
They called me in a meeting with, I have so many old job stories. They called me in a meeting with HR and they're like, why are you leaving? Like what happens? And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't going to bring any of that up. She was like,
oh, you should have thrown her under the bus right then and there.
Know.
That's messed up.
It was crazy. It was kind of insane. I was like, that's like, what a decision to make because I don't think anybody would have made her stay.
You might have saved her job by not telling her.
I probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably definitely did.
Kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
But anyway, ended up getting hired on that day and it wasn't official until like January. Which
is when I got here.
Yeah. I was brand new
you were
when you got here.
I don't even know if you were like officially like full-time, like paid full-time when I first got here. I think it took a couple weeks.
I think so too. But that was the first time I ever got insurance in my life.
Yeah.
Big step.
Because you were talking about insurance. You're like, I can finally go to the dentist. I can finally go to the doctor. That was the first thing I said. Like, you were so stoked.
Well, Marie started telling me about all of like the insurance stuff. And I don't think anybody knew that I never had insurance.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is cool. I've never had insurance before. And they just stared at me. And I was like, because when I went to a dentist here before.
Yeah.
And I paid like first visit $350, something like that, which is just, I mean, it's average, I guess.
That's insane.
$250 to $350 without insurance. But like through college, a lot of my stuff through the University Health Center was like, it was at least like you get a little bit of a student deduction.
Right.
But I'm used to paying hundreds of dollars for doctor's visits, which is just like.
That's crazy. I like every time I've gone to the doctor growing up, like my parents have had insurance. So
yeah,
it's like, oh, you got to pay your $25 copay.
That's like, that is insane to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess just like it's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, like now since I should be making more doctor's appointments.
I haven't gone to the doctor in a while. Yeah, I should probably do this.
I don't even have a family doctor here yet.
I don't either.
But like,
if you find one, let me know.
Yeah, but I've been trying to get, I've been trying to freaking track down my dentist because we were gonna get like the Invisalign stuff.
Oh yeah.
Freaking November, and November is when they scanned everything, and then they texted me. Because I was supposed to go in at like 7 a.m. They open early. And they were going to like kind of like give me, I don't know what they're called, plates or something. You have like so many that you go through until your teeth are like straight and fine. And they're like, oh, it's not in yet. We'll just like let you know.
Never called you?
And then 2 weeks passed and I was like, that's crazy. So I texted because you can text back and forth. Nothing. And I was like, okay. So then I called, nothing. And then I called again and they sent me a text because they missed my call. So I think I'm just going to have to go in and be like, hey guys.
Why are you dodging me?
February.
Yeah.
Or at least it will be by the time I get there.
Huh.
But anyway, yeah, insurance is a crazy thing.
It is.
Because I haven't paid anything to these guys yet at all.
To?
My dentist.
Oh, really?
Nothing.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't. If you haven't gotten anything.
They tried to put that, what is it, like a fluoride?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Coating, like over your teeth. Hated it. Couldn't stand it. Went home, brushed it off. I could not do it. It was disgusting.
I think it's just to clean it. I think you could take it off.
Wasn't included in insurance, and I didn't even want it. It was $50.
That's interesting.
$50.
Your insurance should cover that. That's weird.
It should, but it didn't. Anyway. Been here for a while now.
Got here full time in January, and now you are 2 years at this point.
Yeah, still learning, but feeling, better and better about skills day by day. You didn't even see what kind of stuff I edited when I first got here.
No, I saw a couple of the trash talks that you would make.
Oh, I missed those.
But
yeah,
I've never seen any of that.
But yeah, two completely different pathways.
Yeah, really. I guess, yeah. If you had no experience. I mean, I never had that much experience in sports photography.
Dude, I'd
go to colleges, but
I hadn't even seen a baseball game.
Really? Oh, that's wild. You've never been to a baseball game before this job?
Mm-mm. I went to part of a Gwinnett Braves game.
So you knew nothing about baseball. That's wild.
No.
Wow, you just knew nothing when you got here then.
I don't know how.
You just showed up. We gotta talk to Maria about how she hired you then.
It is actually crazy. It is actually insane. I'm so grateful that I made it here.
That's crazy though. I mean, how many people applied for the internships whenever you applied? Was there many?
I don't know because I wasn't originally part of that pool. I was
Fair.
a part of the full-time thing,
That's fair.
and then I got transitioned over. I talked to them for like half a year.
Yeah.
And then they were like, guess what? You can have this.
Interesting.
Can't hire you, which is
Right.
would have been a bad move on their part.
And then you show up and don't even know how to run a camera. That would have been wild.
Yes. My computer
worked
was on
out,
its my computer's on its last legs.
Yeah.
Completely on its last legs. I couldn't edit anything. It was like watching a stop motion when
Oh,
I tried to
yeah.
edit. You'd render and it still wouldn't. Yeah.
That's how my computer was when I got here. Like 3 days after I got here, I just bought a new
Mhm.
computer, and I was like, yeah, it was tough. But if you had one piece of advice to someone trying to get in our industry, what would it be? I could go on I'll go on a small rant after you answer this
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think like just from my personal experience, like you need to love learning.
Yeah.
I think it's just like this
Big
is
time.
one of those industries where technology is always going to get better, and the way that we film and the way that we do things, we're always going to be changing it and improving it. And learning is just such a huge aspect of that. Like you have to have this openness to being willing to like change habits that you've developed over the years. If you've been doing this for a long time and you film one way, chances are
Yeah.
if somebody hires you, they might do it a different way, and you have to be
Right.
open to that. But like, I don't think I'd be sitting here if I wasn't willing to like learn all these new things. And like, I think you just kind of have to have like a passion for creating. It's
Yeah.
another big thing. This is a very creative, even though a lot of what we do can be repetitive, it's always going to have like this component where you have creative say over it and like you can make it your own. But learning, it's huge. You actually like,
Yeah.
I think,
The openness to it is
yeah,
100% the biggest thing.
especially because like, I mean, I remember when I first got here, I got critiques on everything because I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
And I needed that to learn. So like,
I mean, it's still like every
Learning-
video has multiple versions from any of us.
Absolutely.
Our whole team. When they put something in our chat, everyone just starts critiquing it. Like
learning and not taking things personally.
yeah.
If
Right.
something's wrong, which that can be like, it can be hard because like sometimes things can
Right.
feel like personal attacks. They're definitely not.
I
It's
mean,
just
when you
like-
put your heart and soul into a video and you send it in the chat and then you get the critiques
and
it's
you
like,
love it, and
geez.
everyone's like,
But
you
like
have,
it's like good because like if you think you have it all figured out and you're just sending these videos and everyone's just like, yeah, it's good, post it. You've plateaued. Like you're never gonna grow.
yeah, that's something that I'm working on is stopping saying like, oh, this is perfect. Like,
Right.
it's
right.
hard because even as someone who's like critiquing, I'm always so worried that I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, which is not the case.
No one
It's
takes
not
it
the case
personal.
at all.
Especially because we're all friends at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And it's like
I'm such a people pleaser. I just want to be like, oh, I love it.
Right.
But like in reality, it's like not helpful to anybody.
no. I mean if I think that's the same thing. It's so hard to critique sometimes, but
It is.
you're just kind of doing the other person a disservice whenever you don't critique.
Yeah.
I would say to that same question, like, I feel like I spent so much time watching YouTube videos of like how to get a good videographer job or how do you work for the MLB or how do you work for the NFL, and like just like watching all these videos and then being like, there's just no way you ever do that. Like it's so hard to get that connections.
Yeah.
I would personally say connections are everything, but just being willing to, I feel like everyone preaches this, but being willing to work for, like you're not going to be making 6 figures working on your first job ever,
No.
anywhere. Like,
And it's not even, I think it's, what's that saying where it's like, if you like follow your passions, money will follow.
right. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Jesse preaches that, like
Yeah.
focus on the,
Well, for us here, it's never about money. As
No,
a company, like
right.
we're like, our whole thing is that everything we do is fans first.
Yeah.
Everything we do is for our fans. It's never about making an extra dollar when we can.
Right.
And so I feel like not almost all of us within our own positions feel the exact same way.
Yeah. I mean, grinding on something you really love, like video stuff and making the best videos possible, and then the money will follow eventually.
Yeah.
But like we were both interns. We were making just enough to afford rent
Yeah.
and food for the month. Like we weren't doing anything extra, and really, unless
Yeah.
like the only reason I was able to go out and eat every once in a while was because of the freelance stuff that I had going on.
I had some stuff saved up.
Yeah, which like pick up the extra freelance job, like do that on the side, but getting an in somewhere and working for intern money is 100% the way to do it. And
Yeah.
then when you get there, you don't know anything. Like that should be the mindset. Like pick up everything that they're teaching you, go with their ways, because if you're just think you have it figured out, you're never going to make it in the video industry.
Obviously, bring your own things to the table.
Oh, for 100%. Sure.
100%.
For sure. You definitely, I mean, everyone has stuff to teach people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But showing up and thinking you have it all figured out and not taking people's critiques and advice, it's just going to burn you. Mm-hmm. Just put you straight into the outside again.
And I'll just go ahead and say it. If you don't think you have the resume for something, maybe you do, because I didn't have anything. I just I showed them that I wanted to be here.
Right.
And I think that kind of thing, and depending on where you work, trying your best to, don't try to fit in anywhere, but we all mesh very well together. We have an amazing company culture, and we all genuinely enjoy being with each other. So don't think you have to go in and be super professional and be super serious about your work, because that's not what it is. It's about, you definitely make good stuff, make sure you're putting in the work, but have fun.
Right. Time and place for everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally agree. If you don't know something or how to do something, YouTube, or just ask somebody. I learned so much. I learned just about everything that I didn't learn from people I worked with, and with Spencer, for example. Anything I didn't learn from him, I learned from YouTube, or just going out in the woods and shooting by myself. Yeah. YouTube, you can learn every aspect of this job, and I almost considered going to film school to try to learn some stuff. And I asked a bunch of people about it who had been in the industry. I have a guy back in my hometown who works for Juju Smith-Schuster, one of the football players in the NFL. So I would message him. I just DM him every once in a while and be like, hey, man, how'd you get your job? Do you recommend film school? Is this the path I should take? And his advice, honestly, probably kept me from going to film school and doing that. Yeah. Just anything you're learning in film school, you can learn on YouTube at this point. Don't spend the money on it. So I immediately shifted and went to business school just to start my own business if it didn't work out in the sports industry. But you can literally learn anything that you're trying to learn on YouTube or job experience. Just get in somewhere and work somewhere. It doesn't have to be the fun, the best job in the world. Just get in and learn.
Yeah, make a portfolio.
Yeah, make a website portfolio or something.
See, and that's not to dissuade anyone from, if you have film school in mind, some people go because of the connections alone.
Sure.
And if you need connections, that's a perfect way to get it. Or if you don't have access to any of that equipment or any of the things that you want to do. But it's one of those things where you have to understand it's a huge investment.
Yeah.
And I know they're expensive.
I can't speak from the movie and the TV side of film school.
A little bit different. It's a little bit different.
I can't speak on that.
Yeah.
That could be the way to go. But
my friends that I know, that's the kind that they went to. So one of my friends from high school, who's in that broadcast group that I was talking about earlier, he went and he did, I think specifically sound design, I want to say, and he's worked on some huge movies, which is cool. Really, really cool. And then I had another friend from my theater class, actually, who went, I don't remember where he went. I want to say Full Sail. No. Sound design guy went to Full Sail.
Okay.
Other guy went to SCAD right here in Savannah.
Really? That's cool.
And they made a Coca-Cola commercial that ended up in a bunch of movie theaters, which is really cool. But it's I think also one of those things where you can make amazing stuff, but if you don't follow through with it,
right.
You have to continue putting in the work. And yes, exactly.
I feel the outside work, if you're going to film school, have those passion projects you're working on. Mm-hmm. There's a guy here that goes to SCAD. His name's Sven. I don't know his last name. But he's working with Brooke.
The reindeer from Frozen.
Yeah. Sven, is that his name?
Sven,
I think his name is.
With a V?
Yeah, that's wild.
Sven.
I could be mispronouncing his name, but I think it's Sven.
Yeah.
But he's working on that documentary with Brooke on
It looks so cool.
Yeah, and that's
awesome.
That's one of his passion projects at this point, and that movie will be in film festivals, and the SCAD's promoting it at this point, and just a random guy that shows up to his film class on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. is not going to get necessarily anywhere if he doesn't push with it.
A lot of, I feel for us, a podcast is very much a passion project. Even when we're not operating cameras on the field, here we are.
Right.
After work, just recording.
Right.
And I feel if you don't have that want and that need to continue creating outside of this industry, then it's probably something that you should kind of think about, because it's a hard.
I totally agree.
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of extra hours put into here, and if it's not something that you love with all your heart and you want want to put in all of those hours to, then maybe it's not something I don't want to say, don't do this.
No, if you don't enjoy the work, you would hate our job.
Yeah,
like, I feel like
a lot of what we do, we live like around work. And for us, it's definitely not a bad thing. Like, we really enjoy the people that we're with and the things that we create. But if you are one of those people that want like the stability of a 9 to 5 and you want to work 40 hours a week, that's not what this is.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's long hours, and like you might have a shoot at 8 o'clock at night. Like,
it changes.
It does.
We don't have a normal schedule.
No.
And like,
especially on tour for the like sports schedule, we'll be working Saturdays.
If you
and Sundays.
work in sports, your schedule will likely change quite often.
Yeah.
And like, it's perfect if you don't have a family and you're young and you don't have any strings attached and you can just kind of like run around and do your thing. Probably is harder if you are already like tied down
there's definitely more challenges if you have tie downs.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible, especially if it's your passion, but you really have to love the work if you have tie downs.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not 9 to 5. Got to really love what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I would highly recommend it.
Yeah,
this is
I would too.
Out of the 20ish jobs that I've had, I've been here the longest.
Yeah.
And it's just
this
like,
is my longest job too.
It's the most fulfilling thing I think that I've done because it's got a mix of everything. It's not just like, you're not just sitting behind a desk counting people's money at a bank, or you're not just like serving food at a restaurant. Not to take away from any of those things, but they just weren't my passion. But like here, like if you like variety, like you get to do a little bit of everything. Like I got to write a script last week with Iris. I think that was last week. Last week was a blur. I don't remember a lot of what happened last week, but it's just like you have so many different areas that you can just kind of like dip your toes into to see if you like it.
Right.
And a lot of other jobs.
There's so many aspects to this job.
Yeah. You're not at a desk all day. You can be. Like there's definitely that part of the job too, but it's not there all the time.
I would also say our job with the Bananas specifically is a lot different than any other sports team as well, because we're so media focused.
We are.
Like that's our brand, is TikTok, is
and it's a lot more
social media.
It's a lot more personal. Like you get to be right next to fans. You could be right next to players.
It's a different experience. But I feel like there's definitely a lot of takeaways that you like. There's a lot. I mean, I feel like we do everything that other sports teams do plus more, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like we film all the games which is what other baseball teams do. But then during practice, we're filming TikTok skits. We're filming music videos. We're filming like other stuff, which is a whole different game.
We're doing themed walk-ups.
Right, which is fun. It makes it like adds a whole other aspect to our job where it's like the creativity. Wow, that was hard for me to say. The creativity here is unmatched.
It is.
In the sports industry, which is awesome. It's such a fun part of the job.
Perfect job for someone who gets bored easily.
Yeah, big time.
Because there's so many jobs in the past where I was just like I used to work at Starbucks and like it was the same day every day. And it was nice because I got off at noon and I had like more free time to myself. But I'm also the kind of person where I think sometimes I would just rather be at work where I know I'm going to do things.
I agree. Yeah.
As opposed to just like having a whole day to myself where I'm just like, I have no idea what to do. Like all of my friends are at their jobs right now. Like what am I supposed to do?
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, if I was off and no one else was, I'd rather just be at work.
Yeah. Especially here because we're
all friends outside of work.
We all like each other. So
it's kind of one of the like weirder parts about our job. We work with 100 people. Like it makes sense. But I think I would know like 5 people outside of this job, and I'm not close friends with it.
I don't even think I know that many.
Like,
truly. And the people
half of them worked here at one point and they just don't work here anymore.
Exactly. like all the people I know are like someone who works here has a roommate and I met them.
Right.
Because,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But outside of that, literally nobody.
Yeah. And like, I don't feel like I don't know. Like, I feel like I know everybody in Savannah.
Same.
But
me too.
Because I work with them.
There's this one guy at the Tybee Marine Center on North Beach. Very nice old man. Don't know his name. Talked to me about sharks for like 2 hours. Great.
Nice.
I would say that I know him on some level personally. Right. Had a great time. Do I know his name? No. But to be fair, I'm really bad with names.
I am so bad with names as well.
Yeah. But anyway.
But yeah, I feel like if anybody ever has any questions about our job, just like our DMs are always open.
Yeah. I hope what I said made sense.
Yeah, me too. I think
It's not really something that was
I feel like we
rehearsed.
could both talk about this subject for hours about different ways and stuff.
Because we both have two very different
Completely
perspectives
different stories.
because we have two very different backgrounds.
Yeah,
I
totally agree.
I think how I view film is probably very differently than anyone who's been around a
sure.
camera longer than me, which is almost everyone in our department.
Yeah.
Or is everyone.
I mean, you got that acting side of you too, so it's like you've seen that side of it, whereas I've never been on a movie set for a indie film or like something super small.
I was an extra in Goosebumps too.
Exactly. Like you've seen that side of things, and yeah. There's unlimited amounts of. I just voice cracked. That's tough. Unlimited amounts of ways you could take video production, but
there is, but there's a place for everyone.
There is.
If you want to do it, there's a lot of different roles you can step into.
There is indeed.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a master at any of them either.
No.
To get in.
I'm living proof of that. I wasn't a master at any of those things.
Connections, I think I would never preach more. Like, just get your name out there. Just talk to people. Just cold emailing doesn't usually work, but like, just jump in the DMs of people and just ask them. Just be a normal person. Be like, hey man, want to get in your industry? Got 2 tips. Yeah. Do that to 100 people. There's 200 tips, and go run with them.
Yeah.
Listen to podcasts.
Listen to this podcast.
Listen Tell your friends about this
podcast with Ian and Caitlyn.
Hear me out. But yeah, I feel like that's one of my favorite episodes. I think hearing our stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really hope the advice did not
come across wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think it did.
I'm preaching positivity here.
Yeah.
I just hope it came off that way.
No, I mean, like, if you have a dream to do it, just run with it. I mean, like,
yeah,
literally.
But
if
like
you have
on the more serious sides of things, what I was trying to say earlier is just like, if you don't imagine yourself really enjoying this, like outside of this industry, and you don't want to spend the time, then this is maybe one of those things that you should consider, because it is so work intensive.
I agree. It's like anything.
Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna love any. Like, if you hate mowing the grass, then you're gonna hate being a farmer. Like, you're gonna be miserable every day of your life. You have to go out and milk the cows at 6 a.m. You know what I mean?
If you're not a math person, maybe don't work at a bank.
Right.
That's what I discovered about myself.
Don't jump into finance. Yeah. It's like, if you don't like video production, you don't like thinking of ideas, you don't like
talking to people, why bother being in customer service?
There's a million other jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say, if you like being creative, this is one of those jobs where.
For sure.
Just in general, like, don't worry about the whole camera, technical, whatever. Like, if you think you like being creative and you can't find a place where you fit in other things because of someone who had no idea what they wanted to do, this is kind of what I landed into. Yeah. And I truly enjoy it.
I truly enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
And I think both of us didn't necessarily know what we were getting ourselves into whenever we took this job took this internship. We knew by the time we got our jobs, but
I really did not.
I didn't either.
I had no idea.
I watched the documentary whenever I applied.
Did you actually?
The very first one, yeah. And I saw The Office for the first time. And then when I was moving down, I was like, yep, I know we're going to be in like a brick-walled office or something. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But I was like, it's probably going to be miserable at times. But I'm just going to go down and find out. Like, just take that leap. If you really want to be in the industry, any industry, it doesn't even have to be film. Like, if you want a finance job, like, you want to be in the industry, you want to work on Wall Street, like, whatever, like, just send it. Like, just take an internship, learn as much as you can, and spend your 20s figuring it out. Yeah. Just you could fail till you're 25 and just like, I mean, you could fail till you're 45. Like, just send it. Like, go figure it out.
Yeah, my opinion is it's like literally never too late to like find a career that truly suits you. And like, most people will not have it figured out by sometimes even 40s, 50s, 60s. Like, people still don't know like what they really, really want to do, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah. Because, like, sometimes it's just one of those things where, like you said, ask around, try it out, take an internship if you can. Yeah. But I saw this one story of this girl who thought she wanted to be on the, like, work in the stock market, and she had no idea what she was doing. And this guy literally was just like, oh, I can help you out. She just asked. She didn't say, oh, I have this impressive resume, because she didn't. She just asked, and he was like, oh, let me just take you around, show you the ropes. And she's making tons of money now because she just ended up being really good at it.
There's so many people that would love to teach anything. Like, just go learn. Yeah. Don't ask for $40,000 to be someone's assistant. Just go, like, be his assistant for a month. and
Shadow
learn.
somebody for a day.
Yeah, go be his or her assistant and
See if you like it.
Yeah, just go shadow. Yeah, exactly. Shadowing is a great thing.
Try on the shoes. See if they fit.
Yeah, I totally
That's
agree.
why I changed my major so many times in college.
Didn't like it? Try a different shoe.
Did it a lot. Changed a lot of minors too. Did not end up with a minor at all. But I got really close.
A lot of shoes, not too many socks.
Yeah. I looked down and I thought for sure you were. Ian has this pair of shoes. They look like socks, but they're not. And every time I glance, I think you're just wearing socks.
One day I'll just wear socks to the pod.
I won't even know. I'll look down. I'll be like, he's wearing those shoes again.
Yeah. All right. Good wrap.
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. Next episode, Tanner Thomas, maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah, we should actually
film that this week, maybe. First episode with a guest. Next episode.
I promise, maybe.
That gives us 9 days to film it. So before that episode comes out.
It'll be fine.
The next episode comes out. So.
It'll be good.
Next episode, guest probably. If you like this episode. If you ever have any questions, just shoot us a DM.
We have an email too.
Don't email that because we never check it. To be honest, I forgot we had the email until you just said that.
I'm not even signed into. I'm not signed into
I hope no one's emailed us on that account because it'll never get seen.
People might have.
It'll never get seen. I mean, I guess we could just log in and see it, but all right. So the cameras died there. I'm not sure how much we got cut off there, but
probably
we got
just
most of
a
it
minute or two. I think we got to a point where we were repeating a few things, so hopefully
we were kind of repeating ourselves by that.
Hopefully, it's not too detrimental to any advice section that we were in at that point. But anyway, as we said in the intro, let us know if this is helpful. Like if this is something that you're interested in, or maybe you're just maybe you just want to hear about our lives that are not random, rapid fire questions or whatever, silly, goofy kind of podcast stuff. We're more than happy to make special episodes about
for sure
what we do.
Like Q&A sessions or something like that. If you guys have any questions on the industry or the bananas or just our personal lives in general, drop them in the comments section below. We'll do another episode on this if it's something you guys want.
Not too personal though, because we don't know each other like that.
That's facts.
Keep it light, keep it airy. I can't do deep conversations.
That's good. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Like you said. Oh wait, this is the intro. Wait, no, this is the outro. Sorry, we just filmed both. Can you tell that we've done the intro and outro separately from the rest of the? Thanks for hearing us out on a very different episode of the Hear Me Out podcast, where we actually talk about real life things. Hopefully, like I said right before, the cameras cut guest on the next episode, but we'll see. Yeah, we're gonna hopefully bring on some. We will be bringing on some guests from where we work. Yeah. A little mix of people. I won't give away too much. Yeah. So that'll most likely be kind of coupled in with these more work-based episodes, and they'll probably each have their own sort of segments. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So leave some comments. Don't email us because we don't know the password to get it. Yeah, if you email us, you'll never get a response back. We need to change that so Celsius can finally reach out and sponsor us, but... Yeah, we're working on it. So when we get giant brand deals... Should we make a brand deal real quick and send it to Celsius and be like, sponsor us? Sponsor us, but don't email us. Drop us a comment in our TikTok section. Celsius, we're not responsible enough to have an email address, but if you like the Hear Me Out podcast and you want to hear us out, we're run on Celsius. Let me just say something before we go out for real. Yeah. Love the new design, Celsius. Amazing. It's beautiful. Design I didn't like it as much. This is I feel good drinking this. 4 more ounces. You know what it is? It looks much cleaner, so it makes me feel healthier, even though it is the exact same ingredient list. 0 sugar, Energy Plus, Essential Performance. I don't know what any of it means, but it feels good. Blue Crush, so I can crush the day. Absolutely. Right. I feel good about, is it just sparkling blue rat? My hand is kind of sort of shaking from drinking this whole thing. But that's we needed that for this podcast. It fired us up. It got us what we needed. That extra 4 ounces. And look at all these vitamins. Look at all these vitamins that I hope the camera can see it, but it's a lot of vitamins that I probably do not get from my diet. A lot of protein, biotin. Biotin, not protein. Protein for the frat guys out there. Did you take a protein today? They really market to just about anyone. They do. 270 milligrams of caffeine. We're not sleeping tonight. It is like 9 o'clock on a
I will
work
sleep,
night.
actually.
I will not.
I'll sleep
I probably
restfully.
will too.
You heard the story one time where I ate 40 dark chocolate espresso beans and fell asleep right after.
Insane.
Yeah. I'm not like that all the time, but if I'm not in motion when I drink caffeine,
It's absurd.
and I'm not like doing a lot of talking like we are now, I will go to bed.
That's crazy.
It will night me. I will just. But so when Zach came up here earlier,
Yeah.
is that a sound effect you just put on there?
I was going to, but I had to stop myself. Impulsive.
I know this is an outro, so this is the last thing. When Zach came up here earlier, I thought he said 170 milligrams of caffeine, and I told him.
I didn't even hear him.
I told him promptly, "Oh, that's less than cold brew," but now I realize he said 270.
Tough, because that's not less than cold brew.
Anyway, Celsius.
Yeah.
We're really looking for a sponsorship here. This is our now. I don't know if this is going out before or after the other part that we filmed, 5th or 6th episode, and I think we're obviously really taking off with the 45 subscribers.
And hear me out. We could have code "Hear Me Out." Like, that's so sick. Our code for these sponsorships could be code "Hear Me Out"
for 10% off of Celsius online.
I mean, come on, it doesn't get better than that.
We should make a
This is our pitch. We're gonna make a clip out of this and pitch it to Celsius
yeah.
for our 45 subscribers and 300 TikTok followers.
Listen, if those 45 people didn't drink Celsius before, they sure as heck will now.
You gotta believe in the people, Celsius, not our following quite yet, because it will get there. You just gotta believe in the people. We promise you that we'll sell some Celsiuses at some point.
We will stand on the curb outside of our workplace.
If no one buys one because of our podcast, we will go sell them on the street.
We will be door-to-door salesmen for you, which some people consider a career of the past, but that is not true.
No. We will make a TikTok out of it and go door to door selling Celsius.
We're gonna go knock on the door.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have a case. This is just. I trained for this. I trained for this because when my brother was a Cub Scout, I went door to door with him and we sold popcorn tins. Nobody wanted them.
It builds character.
It does, but in our case, people were like, "Of course, we're gonna support the Boy Scouts." Like, I see those kids. Yeah. So we just need a cause.
We do need a cause.
And our cause is caffeinated people.
Right.
Because caffeinated people are happier people.
America runs on caffeine.
America does and Dunkin'.
Shameless plug.
And Celsius.
I'll
come up with a script for you guys. Listen, just hear us out.
Hear us out.
Yeah.
Hear me out. All right. Well, that was a very serious podcast that ended in just about how our actual podcasts are usually.
It's so late.
If you guys like that, you should subscribe and follow.
We've been here for a while.
We have been here. We've been filming for 2 hours, and you guys probably setup took a while. All right, we get it, whatever. But like, it's yeah. I don't know where I'm going with that.
That's okay. So, thanks for hearing us out. We're about to make our outro for our other episode that we also filmed today. So if you like the silly goofy stuff, listen to our other 4 podcasts.
Yep. Yeah, all of our podcasts are silly goofy. That was the most serious podcast we've ever had. So if you like silly goofy, just jump on over to the next episode and stay tuned for episode 5. I mean, man, it's gonna be so good.
This is episode 5.
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe?
Oh, it is episode 5. Shoot. I forgot this is episode 5. Holy crap.
Stay tuned for episode 6.
Stay tuned. Yeah. Wow.
Which is coming out later this week.
I can't believe we posted episode 4 is already posted for everyone's sake. Like, it's not because we just pre-recorded a bunch of episodes.
Yeah, we don't.
I just can't remember.
This is very unusual for us.
If we can't remember after 4, it's going to be really tough when we get into like the 10s and 20s, which we will do. We promise.
And we're mostly promising you guys, Celsius, because we're going to keep sponsoring you
if you guys
until
sponsor
you sponsor us.
We won't let you down.
No, but there is another energy drink that I've been.
We should probably hang up this podcast.
We should say goodbye.
Be careful. Yeah, you're about to ruin our Celsius sponsorship by saying what you're about to say there.
I believe in.
Thanks for hearing us out.
Peace.